Hey there, it's Don with the DIY Collaborative, and thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. What I want to show you today is something that we came up with to solve, uh, temporarily solve, a problem that we have on our patio. There's nowhere to plug in an extension cord. We have fans and things like that that we want to plug in from time to time, and there's just no place to plug it in. And I got to thinking about it one day and, looking around on Amazon, and I found some pretty cool porch lights, because we do have two porch lights, which I'm going to walk up to here in a minute and show you one of the old ones on the patio, but there's nowhere to plug in. But I found some that actually have a GFCI outlet in the bottom of the porch light. So our issue is, if you haven't figured it out already, on this patio, and this is an older home, there's nowhere to plug in an extension cord for anything. We occasionally want to be out here and maybe have a fan going, or we like to have some little lights or something sometimes, and there's literally nowhere out here to plug in. And I got to thinking the house had two porch lights, and I got to researching it, and I found these on Amazon, and we're giving them a try, and we've already mounted this one, and I'm going to step you through doing the other one. But these actually have a GFCI outlet built into them underneath here. And you can actually take an extension cord and plug it in to the outlet, and you've got power to run, whatever you need to. And granted, this is not a long-term solution, but for us, it gives us an opportunity to be able to plug things in out here. And these lights are such that, it was a porch light. So the power is on all the time to these, but they have a photo cell and a motion detector sensor all in here, and it's all adjustable. So you just leave the power on to these all the time. And then when it gets dark, if you want the light to come on, it can come on. And what's cool about these that we found out already in testing this one is that uh, after a period of time, if it detects no motion, it gets dimmer. And we've got dimmable LEDs that we purchased to put in these. They don't come with the bulb, to see how that works out, and it's pretty cool. But it's also, like I said, got a motion sensor in it. So if it detects motion, and you can adjust all of this, if it detects motion within so many feet, it gets bright again, and it comes on to the full brightness. But we're giving this a try for now. Again, it's not a long-term solution, but it works for what we need for right now until we can actually, get some more permanent style outlets here. And each one of these has a receptacle, or an outlet with two plugs. It's a GFCI outlet, and I'll go into more about that, what that is, in the description. And what we're going to do next is show you how to install one of these in our location. And I did want to mention that in no way am I giving electrical advice. I'm not an electrician. I do my own home repairs and things like that. So if you don't feel comfortable doing electrical work, by all means, please hire a professional. But I will show you the basics of how to switch out a porch light safe and easy, and the correct way to do it. So we're ready to take the old light down and get our new light installed. But before we do this, we have to kill the power to this one. And to do that, you need to go to your breaker or your fuse box and turn that off to kill the power to this, because you don't want to work on this light fixture while the outlet is hot, or while the fixture is hot. So what we're doing next is we're just disassembling this fixture. So we're going to start out by getting in here. And what I was looking for up in there, you never know what's going to be lurking. So I was trying to see if there were any spiders or wasp nests or anything like that in there before I start reaching inside to take the old bulb out. This is just one of those old CFL compact fluorescent light bulbs that was in this fixture. So I'm just going to take that out and lay it to the side. Yeah, that's how you actually get in there to the bulb on this one. And this one's actually kind of broken on one side. That little hinge is supposed to be part of that upper door. But in this case, this fixture is attached to the outlet that's in the wall, or the receptacle that's in the wall, through this nut right here, through this back plate. So we've got to get that unscrewed. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And sometimes they're a little finicky to get off, get released. So you can see that's how it mounted through the back of the back wall of the light fixture itself. And then a typical light fixture will have this kind of a mount on it, and that's what that threaded into, and that's what held that up there. So now, because we've got a bunch of debris and stuff in there, the first thing that we're going to do, though, is check to make sure that the power really is off. And we're going to get our electrical tester to do that with. This is just a contact tester, and I'm going to take it and put it in here by the white wire and the black wire, the hot and the neutral, just to make sure that there's no power. And if there was power onto this little sensor would be going off, but there is none. So it's always a good idea to go ahead and check this just to make sure. Even though we know we turned it off, you want to make sure before you start messing around these wires going. So you can just take your wires that are connected with these wire nuts and remove these wire nuts. They just unscrew. That's how the electrical connection is made on these, and just pull those apart. And that gets the old light fixture disconnected from the mount there. And the next thing we're going to need to do is go ahead and pull this bracket off, because we won't use this exact mount for these new lights, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And to do that, in this case, it should just be a simple slotted head screwdriver. These are pretty much a standard mount for a light fixture, by the way. And this third wire, in case any of you are wondering it, that's the ground wire. Next thing you're going to want to check is this box that's in the mortar of these bricks. In this case, you want to make sure it's tight, and in this case it is. So that's good, because that's what we want. So what I recommend doing next, this bracket will need to come out of this fixture here. So bear with me for the rest of the audio. We had a audio technical difficulty, if you will, and lost all of the audio for the rest of the video. But what I'm showing you here is the 4 screws that need to be removed from the fixture, 2 on each side, with a Phillips head screwdriver, in order to get the mounting bracket loose from the back of the fixture. And this is what's actually going to attach to that receptacle that's up in the wall. And you can take that, before you get ready to mount it, and actually check it, and that's what we're showing you here. Because where we removed that plate earlier, that little mounting bracket with those 2 screws, is how we're going to mount this, and that's what I'm showing you here. So what you'll want to do here, we were just checking placement in that prior section. You want to straighten your wires out and then slide that bracket over your wiring. And be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to mess up the insulation uh, on the wiring itself, and then go ahead and get this bracket mounted back in place with those two mounting screws. You'll also go ahead and attach the ground wire that we showed you earlier to this bracket, and there's a small countersunk green hex screw on the bracket for you to attach the ground wire to, and then your ground wire will attach to the green ground wires in the back of the fixture when you're ready to actually attach the fixture. But that's what we're doing here, is we're actually attaching that ground wire to the bracket before we secure the bracket back onto the wall or back onto the receptacle that's going to hold the new lamp in place. So the new light did come with new mounting screws, so we're using those. I showed you earlier that I was keeping the old ones, but we don't need them. I've actually got the two new ones here. And because of the size of those screw heads, I had to use a couple of flat washers here. So that's what you're seeing on these screws as I'm tightening them in. And these are just a Phillips head screw that tightens through that mounting bracket. That's going to be the back of the new lamp fixture, the porch light fixture. And then once we have that, we're going to work on our electrical connections next. And what I'm doing here with a small torpedo level, it's not necessary if you don't have it, you can eyeball it. But I'm just checking to make sure that it's level, so the fixture is actually mounted level or looks level once we get it on there. Again, you don't have to have that tool. You can eyeball it or measure it with a tape measure or a ruler or something, but it's just an easy way for me to check for level. And here I'm just finishing up tightening those screws down. And you don't want to over tighten these. You don't want to warp that bracket. Your surface where you're mounting this on the brick may not be level, so just make sure they're good and snug because you don't want them coming off. So now it's time to get the new lamp fixture into place, and if you have a helper here to help you hold this in place, it would be helpful, but if not, you can make it work. And then remember, like I mentioned earlier, there's 3 wires here that are going to be connected, and you're going to simply connect these kind of in the reverse order that you took them apart on the old fixture versus the new fixture. The black wire will go to the black wire. The white wire will go to the white wire, and the bare wire that we pointed out just a minute ago, which is the ground wire, will go to the green wire. And we're simply using wire nuts here that came with the new lamp to attach the connections. And you want to just screw these on and make sure that they're good and tight. Once you get them screwed on as far as you can turn them, you can kind of tug on those wires and make sure that the wire, the actual connection, doesn't come apart, but they should hold, and these are pretty much standard. So now that we've got our connections all made up on our wiring, it's time to go ahead and get the new fixture into place on the bracket. And when you're doing this, you want to get your wires tucked in and make sure that they're not, being pinched or cut or anything like that. So just take your time and just work those wires in there. In this case, we're tucking some of the wiring that's part of the home back under the bracket and just making sure that all of that is secure, and then the wires where they're connected to the wire nuts that come out to the actual fixture, we're going to make sure that those tuck inside of the new fixture nicely. And what I'm also showing you here is another little tip on how to line one of these holes up. I've got a smaller, tinier screwdriver that I'm going to use to slip in one side of where the actual mounting screws go to help me hold it in place. If you don't have a helper, this will help you get everything lined up. And here's that screwdriver here, and I'm just sliding it in where one of the screws go to help me hold it in place while I get one of the screws inserted and started on the other side. And it'll take you a minute to get all 4 of these screws in, and you can get those in and don't necessarily, tighten them up at first. Just get them in and maybe get them snug and then go from there. So here's the finished install. We're showing you the access to the GFCI outlets. There's 2 plugs underneath here that we can easily get to. And we're happy about this because now it gives us an opportunity to be able to plug things in, temporarily on our patio. Like I said earlier, it's not a permanent solution, but it's going to work for us for now. And here I'm just installing one of the Edison bulbs, and I'm holding it with a plastic bag that it came wrapped in for shipping. I don't like to get my oily fingerprints on these brand new bulbs. These are dimmable LED bulbs that it recommends using for this type of fixture. We got them and tried one in the other lamp that I showed you earlier and seemed to like it. And again, it's an LED. It's pretty bright, but we really like these. And then once I get that in place, it's time to go back and turn either your breaker or your fuse panel back on and enable the power to this porch light. And again, this is a porch light, so we're going to leave the switch to this on all the time. But you can see here that with the power on, the lamp works, and we're very happy with it. So we hope this helps you out. Sorry again about the audio, but we were able to work it out. Thanks to my wife, the videographer, on this, and thanks for stopping by our channel and checking out our videos.